Welcome to This Explainer. If you've ever worked a job and wondered why one boss seems to have all the influence while another one, well, just has the title, then you are in exactly the right place. We're about to pull back the curtain on the hidden rules of authority inside a company. And trust me, understanding this stuff will give you a major head start in your own career.
So let's just start with the big question. You've probably thought about this at an internship or a part-time gig. You see the fancy organizational chart, but is the person at the very, very top the only one with actual power? Or is the truth a little more complicated? And frankly, a lot more interesting.
To get to the bottom of that, here's our game plan. First, we're going to tackle the difference between power and authority. Then, we'll dig into where power actually comes from. After that, we'll look at how companies try to structure it with a chain of command. We'll clarify the different jobs people do, and finally, we'll look at a pretty cool way organizations bend their own rules to get things done.
Okay, let's dive right in. If you want to understand how any organization truly operates, you have to get the difference between two words that we throw around all the time: power and authority. They sound like they could be the same thing, but in the world of management, they're not. Not at all.
Think about it like this. Power is kind of raw. It's just the basic ability to influence somebody, to get them to do something. But authority? That's way more specific. That is the official right to make decisions and give orders, a right that's handed to you by the organization because of the position you hold. So, here's the key idea to lock in. Authority is just one kind of power. It's the official, by-the-book power that comes with your job title. But, as you're about to see, some of the most powerful people in an organization have influence that has absolutely nothing to do with that org chart.
So if your job title and official authority are just one piece of the puzzle, where does all this other power come from? This right here is where things get really fascinating, because understanding these different sources is the secret to becoming a true leader, not just someone who's, the boss.
Management experts have pretty much boiled it down to 5 key sources. You've got legitimate power, that's the official authority we just talked about. But then you have expert, referent, reward, and coercive power. Let's just quickly break down what each of those means. First up, legitimate power. This is the most obvious one. It's the power you get simply because of your job title. You're the manager, you're the director, you're the CEO. The organization has officially said you are in charge of these people. Simple as that. Okay, now for the cool stuff. This slide shows 2 types of power that don't require a title at all. Expert power is pretty straightforward. You have it because you're the person who just knows the most about something. People listen because you're the expert. And then there's referent power. This comes from your charisma, from being so respected and admired that people want to follow you. The classic example is someone like Mahatma Gandhi, who held very little official power but had immense influence over millions.
Next, we have reward power. This is the old carrot. It's the power to give people things they want. Your professor has it when they're grading your papers. A manager has it when they can give out a bonus, approve time off, or even just offer praise. It's a simple but very, very effective way to influence behavior. And on the flip side of that coin, you've got coercive power, also known as the stick. This is the power to punish or take things away. This can range from giving someone a terrible project to a formal reprimand, all the way to firing them. It's about getting people to do what you want by threatening a negative consequence.
Okay, so now we get what power is and all the different places it comes from. So let's look at how big companies try to map all this out and create a formal structure for authority. And that structure is called the chain of command.
The whole idea of a chain of command is built on something called the scalar principle. Now, that sounds super technical, but the idea is dead simple. You want to create a clear, unbroken line of authority that runs from the person at the very top all the way down to the person on the very bottom. No confusion. Everyone knows exactly who they report to.
And the most fundamental link in that whole chain is what we call line authority. It's just that direct one-to-one relationship between a manager and the person who works for them. That one simple link, repeated over and over, is what builds the entire pyramid structure of a company.
Now, within this big pyramid structure, not all jobs are created equal. We can pretty much sort every role into one of 2 buckets: line roles and staff roles. And trust me, understanding this distinction is going to save you a ton of headaches and conflict later on.
Here is the easiest way to think about it. Line roles are the doers. These are the folks on the front lines actually making the product or selling the service, whatever the core mission of the company is. Staff roles, on the other hand, are the advisors. They're specialists, think HR, accounting, legal, who support the doers and help them do their jobs better.
And here's a really critical point. Don't think of these as types of people. Think of them as types of functions. The line function is whatever directly achieves the company's goals. The staff function is everything that exists to help that line function work more smoothly and effectively.
So, if you're in a pure staff role, you don't actually have command authority over the line folks. The head of research can't just march into the sales department and start giving orders. Their job is to investigate, to analyze, and to give the absolute best advice they can so that the line manager can then make the smartest possible decision. But what happens when that's just too slow? Imagine you're the head of cybersecurity, that's a staff role, and you discover a massive threat and you need every single person in the company to install a security patch right now. If you have to wait for your advice to go all the way up the chain to the CEO and then all the way back down, it's too late.
This is where companies have a really clever exception to the rule. It's called functional authority. Basically, it's a special right granted from the very top that allows a staff specialist to give direct orders to people in other departments, but, and this is key, only when it comes to their specific area of expertise.
Okay, so check out this classic org chart. It's pretty standard, right? You can see the vice presidents of production and sales have line authority. They're the doers. And the directors of research and HR are staff. They're the advisors. You see those clear, solid lines of command going straight down?
And this slide, this is where the magic happens. The CEO can essentially take a tiny slice of their own line authority and give it directly to a staff expert. So, for example, the president can give the controller, the head accountant, the power to tell all managers how they must handle their accounting procedures. The factory manager is still in charge of the factory, but they have to follow the controller's rules on accounting. It's a direct but very limited line of authority.
So why does this matter so much? Because it's a massive shortcut to efficiency. It's a smart way to make sure that the real experts on things like finance or safety or HR policy can enforce company-wide standards without having to go through 10 layers of bureaucracy. It just makes the whole organization faster, safer, and smarter.
So, as you start to think about your own careers and moving into management roles, just remember this: the formal authority, the power that comes with the title on your business card, that's just the starting line. That's the bare minimum. True leadership, real, lasting influence, comes from everything else you build on top of that, from your expertise, from the respect you earn, and from understanding what truly motivates people. That's how you stop being just a manager and start becoming a leader.